A clean, tidy, well-organized sewing space is an absolute must. It makes me so much more motivated and inspired in my creative endeavors, and this space is an absolute dream to be in. Now it's an absolute dream to be on. After what started as 1 month turned into 2+ months of a sewing room revamp, I finally have the sewing room of my dreams. But it didn't start like this. It started like this. This is an absolute mess. It is actually the worst, the most unorganized my sewing space has been ever in my entire life, and it is kind of scary. So now that we are back at the start though, I want to take you on the adventure with me of how I plan, design, sort, store, organize, and decorate the sewing space of my dreams, because I know you're nosy like me and want to take a peek into other people's sewing spaces, just like I do. Welcome back, my sewing friends. It is wonderful to have you here. This is a very long overdue, well, actually a long overdue process for me. I knew I was always going to make these videos for you about it. It is the reorganization of my entire sewing studio, and it is quite an adventure ahead of me. I'm actually following a 3-step process that I always use when I'm sort of reorganizing like this, and I have actually made a 3-part video series about the 3 phases that I use and go through, so you can actually apply and use this same process yourself. I'll link all those videos down below for you, of course, as well. This is going to be a fun vlog, a little peek behind the scenes at my actual choices and just my own personal space here and what I do, because it's so fun to be nosy in people's sewing spaces, I know. Before I get into talking about my design and my plan, I think I should give you a bit of background on what my space is and what my goals are. So if you've been following me for a little while, you might remember I made this video on my new temporary sewing space, which is what you see, well, a tiny section of what you see behind me here. And so 2 years ago, I did move up here, and it was a trial run to be temporary, to see how life works out about 1,000 kilometers away from my home back then. As you can see, things turned out wonderfully, and I have since moved my entire business and my life up here as well. And so you're very familiar with the little space down here, but very recently, I had to share this space, and very recently that has changed, and now this almost entire room now is all mine, and I get to use it for my sewing space, which I am so thrilled about, you have no idea. So I get to like breathe and move my things into a much more usable facilities for what I need. So for me, this is not only a sewing space, my sewing room now, it is also where I run my business from, which is for vintagesewing.com, where I make videos and tutorials and all sorts of videos about sewing. So it also is a filming studio, and first and foremost, that's really it. So I need requirements for being able to film, as you'll notice, like overhead, setups down here and cameras and lighting. So I need to have space to be able to fit equipment like that. So that is something else that I'm looking at. And of course, it needs to look pretty and be aesthetically pleasing to the Evelyn Wood eye that I like to look at. So I am very lucky that I can set it up now the way that I really want and invest in that, which is really, really exciting. So let me get you started on the design and the plan though, because that's always so much fun. Now, I have already sort of finished this stage myself, but design and plan. What I wanted for this room is function and to be aesthetically beautiful, and to finally have all of my haberdashery in somewhere I can actually find them. Until now, for almost 2 years, they've been just in boxes, stacked away, like hidden, and I can't get to anything. My fabric's been like in tubs, and I hate that, and I just haven't had the space to really use my space very well. It's very cramped, and I can't find my things, which is so annoying, as you know. So let's start with the aesthetic that I like. I do not like white furniture. I would actually like to change all the white walls if I could, but I can't, so I'm going to have to work with that. So I'm going to go with a sort of natural wood, bamboo, look with the color schemes of my Evelyn wood branding. So the red, the sort of cream color will be the accents that I sort of try and bring in, and I would really like to bring in some color and some aesthetics. I love the feel of like a 1920s kind of sewing room, you know, couture sewing studio with lots of beautiful wooden tables and lots of old-fashioned things around rather than modern white studio. So that's my aesthetic that I'm definitely going for. So that helps me to narrow down what I'm looking for when I look for the things. Let me take you through each of the spaces and what I'm thinking of design and plan, because we always use the space that we have. We only have this space. So I've really worked out the types of storage equipment that I'll need for each of the things, and let me just walk you through each of the steps of the spaces. So this view is what you're very familiar with, of course, but as now I have this entire room, I actually get to branch out. And so I'm moving my sewing, like my whole studio filming area, into all of this space as well. And I have my industrial sewing machines here and this wall. So I need to change a few things in here. I'm actually thinking of maybe some skirts or something like this to actually cover the bottom of my sewing machine so you don't get all this mess. They definitely need some covers for them. This is in the decoration. And I definitely need to, in the decorate part, do some new curtains. Not that these are terrible, but these are so dark. And when I stand in front of them with my black hair, there's no contrast between it and it's really hard to film. So I'm going to have to change these curtains here. So you can't see the outside. I've got this beautiful screen here. So I'm hoping to use that to kind of screen out half of this. That's what's going on over there. And let's talk about, well, this little space further out here is where my ironing board is going. So I do have this space here, but I've got some I'm thinking some like shelves or drawers type thing in front of it so that I can store things in here. And then I probably won't put the mirror there. It'll be behind us here, but I'm going to have my little ironing station here, which is going to be fantastic. Then underneath this table here, what I'm thinking is currently I have all of my fabric in tubs. So all these big tubs, which it's organized and it's kind of okay, but I really hate these. So I've never liked tubs. Whilst they're organized in weights that I like to look at my fabric. So I want like some kind of shelves that I can just open up and then I can see all my fabric, touch, feel it, and just enjoy it. That's what I like. So in this area is mostly decorating and storage that you don't really see, but you will see some in this bit here. But the real storage that I'm really designing is my space over here. I know I never had access to this before, but now I do. So this is I'm so excited because I can actually put all my haberdashery here. So to back it up a little bit, there's quite a large floor space here. Now this I've already found as a storage solution. This is actually 2 bedside tables that I have squished together, and the sides actually form a little island table, which I really like. So drawers. So my main thing is here. So what I want to do is, this is going to be my haberdashery station. So haberdashery, as you know, is lots of little things, little compartments, and little drawers. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to measure up and I want all types of little drawers in these, and then under here, some larger drawers, maybe that just fit in underneath the tabletop, so I can just have everything in nice little compartments and I can find a zip when I need it. I can find needles when I need them. That's what I want here. And then, I have my office sort of space here, which is a total disaster. That'll be getting revamped too, but probably not as interesting. And then, so let me think. Patterns. How am I going to store patterns? I finally have a rack in this corner here, which is, I can't tell you how happy that makes me to be able to have hanging pattern space again. So I will hang patterns and things that need ironing and toiles, things I'm working on in here. And then I'm also thinking I have a little space in this corner here where I want a taller sort of shelving, maybe like the cube storing, but maybe bamboo, to actually put all my patterns in and store those there. So oh yes, and fabric. So we've talked about the the cut fabric lengths that I have, how I'm going to store those under my table still in little some kind of drawers or something. Then scrap fabric. So actually beyond my sewing machine here, I'm going to put some sort of, I'll find some maybe like flip top laundry hampers to store my scrap fabric in. And I think actually I'm going to put like a larger chest, like a natural like wicker or something, probably just down here at the end of my table, down here, a nice big chest that I can then put in all of those like all the refashions and clothes, and just a big section that I can just throw things in would be, I think, exactly what I need. So I've worked out all of the areas that I have that I need storage things for, and I've actually searched and found quite a few amazing things. It took a lot of searching online. So as part of my phase one is design, kind of easy, but it's also plan, and so I did. So I made a little mud map of my space back here with all the shelves, the shelving space. I did a little floor plan of like top down of my sewing table, so I knew what measurements I had underneath, and then I scoured the internet and I found some great things. So I found these little drawers here, which are nice little bamboo, heaps of storage space in these, and I've got quite a few of these. So I can make like a stack through here to store lots of little things. Then I found, well, I actually found these as well. So I don't actually like these little white canisters. I think I'll use these as actual like dividers in larger drawers. And what I thought I would use these for is more for storing ribbons and everything like this. So I can slot things in and store them that way. And the real beauty was these here. So I've got a bunch of these. They fit just underneath. I should say they only fit just underneath perfectly because I actually had to saw the legs off to make them fit. But okay, no, my mister sawed them off. I probably misspoke there. Someone sawed them off, and now they fit perfectly under here. And so I have these slightly larger drawers in here, and again, some space to slot stuff. And I have a few that is going to line underneath here to get the most out of my space. So it took a lot of measuring and finding those on the internet, but I did. There are a few other pieces I also found. So I already showed you these I got secondhand. Unfortunately, I like to get everything secondhand, but in this case, trying to get lots of little matching drawers, like matching, is impossible secondhand. So I had to get those ones new. These ones are secondhand, and together they actually form a little island table, which I really like to have the extra table space. For my fabric, I actually found these little guys. Again, bamboo is the seemingly the theme I'm going with because I don't want white. These little drawers. So these fit right underneath my table, my cutting table, and so that I'll have space on top and also inside. So I've got a number of these to put together. And now one thing I did find secondhand that I didn't have in my plan, but I couldn't leave this behind, is this beautiful little bedside table. Look at all of these tiny little drawers. I've always been looking for something like this my whole life, and I got it for such a steal. So I couldn't leave this behind, though now I have to find a spot for it in my room somewhere, but it's too beautiful to not have somewhere. I'm sure I'll find a spot for it. So as you can see, I have in fact designed everything. I've made my plan. I have ordered all the things that I need for the space that I have, and they've actually arrived. But before I can put anything away, I need to move into phase 2, and that is to sort and organize all the things. So this is where it gets really messy. If I thought it was messy before, my goodness. So what I'll do is I'll break it down and I'll show you how I store fabric, haberdashery, and patterns. So I always ask one question when you're sort of organizing everything. That is when you go for that item, let's say it's a pattern or your zips or whatever it is. When you go looking for that item, what is the situation you're in? What are you trying to find? Are you trying to, when you're looking for a zip, are you looking for a color or are you looking for a size? When you're going for a pattern, are you looking for a decade or are you looking for a dress, a skirt? And this is where I go into putting the groups that make sense for my workflow and when I go looking for items. So I'm just going to get real messy here and put all of my things into the groups that I want. And the haberdashery is a big one. They're all going to be segregated all off into the nice, neat little groups that hopefully makes a lot of sense for what's about to happen next. This bag here, this is what nightmares are made of. This is the hell I've been living in. So this is a bag. It is full of, there are press studs next to hooks and eyes, next to studs, next to buckles. What else? Oh, there's some beads in here. This is a nightmare. Time to sort this out for sure. Okay, so the process of pulling everything out of every drawer everywhere and organizing it into little sections of like items took far longer than anticipated. But I have successful. We have fabric down here. Now I organize my fabric via weight and it's already organized, so that's easy. I'm just basically changing out the tubs for something else. So I organize by weight because when I go looking for fabric, I'm either getting a lightweight fabric for a top or a dress or a medium weight for a skirt, etc. And so I categorize it into weights, and then in the weights I do drapey and more structured fabrics. So haberdashery though, I mean, oh boy, what do we have here? Okay, so I've separated these out into things like, here we have, well, actually there's a miscellaneous container here, but we have zips, then sparkly things. Then I have my hand sewing needles, my machine sewing needles. What are these? Snaps, buckles, hooks and eyes, pins, so unpicks, etc. Some mending things. We have embroidery floss. We have ribbons in here, more embroidery floss, cotton tape. What's over there? Some more. Yeah, you get the idea. So they're all sectioned into little things. Oh, and then even over here, I have more ribbons actually, and then bias binding and zippers, rickrack, and buttons are, this entire thing here is buttons. And that's Esme. Oh, and heaps of lace. All this is lace. I don't know how I'm going to categorize that down further, but that one I'm just kind of putting there for now. So how I'll organize all of these is I like to get them all out like this, and then I will actually organize these further down by either size or color, depending on how I go looking for them when I'm in use. So what I'll do next is actually get all my furniture in place, because the furniture I need to put, like the drawers that are behind you there, putting all the drawers in place, putting all of my drawers underneath my table here, and putting everything in place, because then I'll be ready to actually store all of this stuff. I have some flat pack furniture to set up, and this will take quite a little while, I think, to just put all the furniture in place so then I can fill it with all these things. This is going to take a while, so this will definitely be a next day kind of clip that I catch with you when this is done. So I was actually able to find some sheer curtains to pop up here, let some light through, but and block out, you know, the street behind me. I've never actually hung curtains before, so we'll see how it goes. It worked. So far, so good. It's obviously not hemmed yet. I am on Vintage Sewing School content deadline, so I'll be hemming those next week. So I finally got around to hemming the curtains back here. It's been a while. And also into making these gorgeous, beautiful sewing machine covers for my overlockers and my machines in this lovely, well, not properly red velvet, but it kind of looks like red velvet. Give a much needed makeover from these plastic, yucky standard ones that come with the machine. After all these years, I finally made some nice, beautiful red ones. And I did prioritize making a matching cushion for my little angel Esme. So it has actually been a little while since I was able to actually do anything to this room. And as a result, it's kind of turned out there's just stuff everywhere. I won't show you what's, actually I probably will show you what's behind you. So I'm at the stage where I had to stop for a while because I had Vintage Sewing School content and I had to get that done. So what I needed to do was to stop and film. So I had to clear everything out of this tiny, nice little filming space and actually make it usable. So that's what I had to do. And as I said though, as a result, there's a lot of stuff in here that really needs to get out. So I've got some curtains up. I've got more curtains for this side here. It's not lovely, nice sheer ones. What I'm going to do now is I really need to, I'm like at the end of it now. So I need to clear out all of the bits and pieces, all of the rubbish, all of the donate, all of the things that don't belong in this room anymore. They need to go out so I can actually start putting away the rest of the things, and then I can move on to fully the final decorating stages. And one of them is actually what is underneath this. I bet you didn't know that underneath here is a piano. I bet you had no idea, right? I know, I've been cleverly hiding it this whole time. So it clearly needs a clean up and a tidy up, but I'm actually going to use it in as my backdrop here. It'll mostly be display on top, but you're going to see this. And no, it is not my piano. I do not play piano. I don't know how, but do you know how heavy they are? It's in this room and it can't move. So that's why it's becoming part of my beautiful antique set. One thing I did not get to do is fix my table cover here. It is literally just pinned on. So that is something that still needs to be done. Maybe a nice little frill or something like that. And I also didn't get to make my ironing board cover yet. As you can see, it is not just a want anymore, it is a need. But there's only so much time I have and I need to finish this video. So it is time for the grand tour. It's done. But of course, let's remember what it looked like beforehand. Quite a mess. So the after is quite impressive, as you can see, and something I am so happy with. Let me take you through each section. I've been able to move in my industrial sewing machines, which I am so happy about. I have a little nook under here for all of my sewing machine manuals and all the different feet and all of those things, along with some samples for Vintage Sewing School. I've stashed these under here. Obviously, the change of curtains all around the room has really brightened the space and allowed for natural light to come in, but filtered natural light, which gives a beautiful glow when filming. That really helps. My main backdrop here into my filming is sort of the same as you're used to. This really hasn't changed. It's everything around it, including underneath my table here. As you remember, this was plastic tubs of horrible mess. Being able to put my cupboards under here, and these ones I have chosen to put my thicker fabrics because they're a bit easier to see. The chunkier fabric is a bit easier to grab underneath the table here. And of course there is some room for still some ugly stashed items under here, but you won't see that. And continuing, opening up the other side of my sewing table here, I have now my ironing board, a little ironing station, and some more fabric. So in these ones here, I have put my medium weight fabrics. I did end up organizing by color a little bit because it's just oh so pleasing. I have an entire little cupboard here for all of my interfacings and fusings, some ironing extras, and a little extra space for, well, you know, those extra fabrics that are going to come along. I admit I have not organized these patterns yet. I will get to that, promise. One of the main additions has been what I'm calling my haberdashery station. I have this little island table here. It's two bedside tables I put together. I got these secondhand, and create a little island, a kind of like bench top space I can use along with great drawers. I also now have room for hanging patterns, which just makes me so happy. And of course, all of the haberdashery is now organized and sorted into little drawers. It makes me so happy to be able to open up a drawer and find the zips, find the needles I need, just find everything in its place. And even my office nook got a little makeover with it. Not quite as pretty as the rest, but still a lot nicer. All of my camera gear in one place where I can find everything. This sewing space really is an absolute dream. It is so nice already when I made my sewing machine covers to be able to go and just open up a drawer and find the haberdashery and find the things that I needed. It was so good. I haven't had that for about 2 years, so it really is inspiring me and motivating me already just to be sewing, and I cannot wait to what I'll create next. It is both a functional sewing space plus a filming studio. There are going to be lots of light boxes and got more overhead cameras, as you might have seen in there as well, for filming. So I've had to think about both, which was challenging at the beginning, but I think I managed to work it out really well. Don't forget to watch the 3-part series on these hashtags So Organized, so you can get yourself and get your sewing space in order, all organized, and have the sewing space of your dreams, just like I have. I'll link all of those videos down below. Okay, I need to get sewing now and actually enjoy this space. I hope you enjoyed watching along, and until next time, my sewing friends, happy sewing. Bye.